Hello, 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 and welcome to What the Math. This is your Master Jedi, Anton, and today we're going to be trying to recreate Star Wars Galaxy in Universe Sandbox 2. This is an idea that someone suggested in a comment a long time ago in a galaxy far away, and I should have done this earlier, but you know what? I didn't really know how to do this, but finally figured this out. So we actually have this galaxy that is actually, well, it's not an original galaxy, it's from the simulation called Supernova in Galaxy. So if you want to try to recreate this, you can just use this as well. And then I just manually added every single star from the system using a map that I posted in the description below. And here we have our main stars from all of the movies, including the Clone Wars cartoon and some of the other mini-series like the comic books. But I didn't obviously include everything because there's actually quite a lot of stars in literature and various fan fiction, and of course in the new episode 7. So episode 7 stars were not included because I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it yet, and we're going to add them sometime next year when most of you have seen it by then. So anyway, so we have our all of our stars right here. So there's Endor, Bespin, Hoth, Mustafar, Dagobah, Sullust. This is actually the one from the very recently released Star Wars Battlefront video game. It was released in 2015, so there's a system called Solus that we don't really know much about, except for, of course, that you get to play on it. There is Utapau, Naboo, this is Tatooine, and right next to Tatooine, there's another system called Ea, and it actually has a planet called Geonosis that appears in one of the movies. And then we have Kamino, Kashyyyk, Yavin, Alderaan, Coruscant, and of course the center of the galaxy known as the Galactic Center. This is a black hole that's very similar to the black hole that we have in the center of our galaxy, but here it's just called Galactic Center. So if you want to check out the map, I posted it in the description below. There's actually 2 maps I used for this, and all of this is kind of somewhat accurate, but not obviously super accurate. So if you're a big Star Wars fan, you may actually complain that, oh, you placed Naboo too close to the center or too far from the center. It's true that I didn't really use a very specific scale here, and I didn't really use very specific dimensions, but overall it kind of is where it is, and I tried my best to make it as accurate as possible. So the first planet, or the first star system we're going to be exploring today, this is of course from episode 1, the Phantom Menace, and where it all starts is of course Naboo. So Naboo is a name of the star, but it's also the name of the planet that episode 1 begins with, and we're going to zoom in on it and see what it looks like. This is essentially what I tried to recreate in this game. Obviously it doesn't look exactly the same. It doesn't really look like Naboo from the movie, and the shadow you see here is actually from one of the moons of Naboo. Now, this is the information I found on the internet. So apparently Naboo has 3 moons. All 3 are uninhabited, and they're called Ohmadun, Rory, and Tassia. And all 3 moons orbit around Naboo, so essentially they're out there, but we don't really know much about them. One of them we get to see in the movie. I think this one right here is actually seen in the movie at some point in episode 1, but I don't really know much else about it. So Naboo here is obviously terraformed. We currently have Earth similarity of 92%, possibility of life of 23%, and obviously there is life forms on here, we just don't really see them. And the life forms that were originally present on Naboo were called Gungans. Or is it Gungans? Well, you know, it's the Jar Jar Binks type. Anyway, so they are probably the most disliked life forms in the entire Star Wars galaxy because of Jar Jar Binks. He unfortunately ruined episode 1 for many people. He made it kind of miserable to watch because he was a little bit too cheesy, but that's obviously personal opinion, not a fact. I did not really enjoy episode 1 because of him, and honestly many people did not as well, but nevertheless he is kind of interesting because there's actually theory about him, and I'm gonna kind of spoil it for you a little bit because those of you who have not seen Star Wars should not be watching this video. But the theory is that originally when episode 1 came out, Jar Jar Binks was actually supposed to be a kind of a similar character to Yoda, and in that sense he was actually supposed to represent, or that's at least the theory, that he was supposed to represent darkest Sith in the galaxy, and he was actually supposed to be the master of Emperor Palpatine. And that's a really interesting theory, because if you do watch the movie, there's a lot of hints on that he's actually a very powerful Force user, but unfortunately, by the time Episode 2 came out, George Lucas decided to change all of this and make him just a silly character that nobody even had to look at anymore, and he replaced his role with the role of Count Dooku, who was played by Christopher Lee, and I believe that's his name. Anyway, so yes, so that's essentially the world of Gungans, and sometime in the past, I think it's something like 850 or 900 years ago, the human colonists arrived on this planet, and they are now referred to as the Naboo, or I guess you can call them Naboonians, and that's basically the humans that we see on this planet. Now, at some point in the past, Gungans and the humans actually had a bit of a fight, and since the humans won that fight, Gungans decided to actually move away from the surface of the planet, and they established various colonies in the oceans and in the seas of the planet, so all of their cities are under the surface. But other than that, they actually stopped fighting. They kind of had a neutral sort of friendship going. And here on this planet, we have lots of sort of peaceful activity going on. We have a somewhat temperate climate. There's a lot of swamps, a lot of plains. And overall, this is actually a pretty pleasant planet to live on. At some point, Anakin Skywalker even says something along the lines of, if I ever was raised on this planet, I would never have left it. Basically, it's an ideal world to live on. And even though a lot of the surface animals and a lot of the surface life on this planet is actually quite peaceful, a lot of the life underneath the planet, specifically in the water, is very, very dangerous. There's a lot of killer creatures, some of them super big, some of them are monstrous in size and would basically destroy and kill anything that tries to get in the water. Now, interestingly, this planet is also the home world of some of the more important characters in the Star Wars story, specifically Padme Amidala, who is of course Queen of Naboo, and also Senator Sheev Palpatine, who essentially becomes the Emperor Palpatine, or basically the most evil character in the story. And Queen Amidala is of course the mother of both Luke Skywalker and Leia Skywalker, and so essentially this is the birthplace of most of the story. So both the good and the bad start on this little planet, and a lot of it stems from here. And during the reign of Emperor Palpatine, he actually established a very important Imperial base on this planet, but following his destruction, the Naboo people actually joined the Republic when Princess Leia Organa visited their planet and offered them an alliance. And they actually were very, very happy to join the Republican alliance because they felt quite guilty that Emperor Palpatine was from their planet. And they were kind of felt responsible for all of the evil that he has done in the galaxy. But interestingly, there's actually a sub-story here in the comic books known as Star Wars Shattered Empire. This is a miniseries that was released last year in 2014. And if you read this story, there's actually an interesting fact here where this planet was attacked by the Imperial fleet that tried to actually destroy the climate on this beautiful planet. They tried to use some sort of a special device that was supposed to disrupt its climate and cause this world to be uninhabitable. But of course, someone had to come to the rescue, and that someone was no one else but Lando Calrissian. He actually brought the rebellion fleet with him and destroyed all of the Imperial forces that were orbiting this planet. Anyway, so that's essentially the history of Naboo. And what I wanted to mention about it is that there is other planets we know about in the system that we can actually look at and explore and try to compare them to our solar system as well. So Naboo has two closer planets that are similar to Venus in a sense, but in my case they went a little bit more extreme. So there's a planet called Erep, which is essentially a very, very, very hot world, very close to the main star. And there's another very hot planet called Moth. Both of these planets are uninhabitable and extremely hot. And of course, the third planet from the star is Naboo. Just like Earth, Naboo is sort of like the mirror image of our home world, and the fourth planet is very similar to Mars, and I actually decided to copy Mars here, and this planet is called Widow. So this is what this planet looks like. But nevertheless, it kind of looks a little bit different and is actually, I believe, a little bit colder as well than our actual Mars. And lastly, there is also another gas giant that we know of, and the gas giant is known as Storm. And this is what this particular gas giant looks like. And here, I'm gonna accelerate time just to show you if it's... Does it spin at all? Oh, it doesn't even... It spins very slowly. But this is the beautiful gas giant that has a very strange orbit around this star, and also has its own sort of a rotational vector as well that is a little bit different from other planets. Anyway, so this is Naboo system, and this is what we know about it from the story, from the movies, and this is why this particular star is kind of important in the Star Wars universe. Even though it has guns and it has Jar Jar Binks, it also has Emperor Palpatine, which of course is a very important character in the story, and of course it has the mother of Luke Skywalker and Leia Skywalker, and at some point Leia Skywalker, although her actual name in the story is of course Leia Organa, visits this planet to try to help Naboo join the Republic. And so that's Naboo in a nutshell, and this is the first star we're going to investigate in this multi-series on the Star Wars universe. In the next part, we're going to take a look at Tatooine, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the characters in the movie and also in the series. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully you'll join me in the next part and learn more about Star Wars universe using Universe Sandbox 2. If you have any other suggestions, or if you know of any other star I should be adding, let me know in the comments below, and I'll try to find as much as I can about it and add it to this beautiful galaxy. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, game you later guys, and as always, bye bye.